David Savage, a.k.a. Diz, and this is The Force Always. Okay, so welcome to the show. Let's get on with the Star Wars news. But before the whole Star Wars news, I'm about to see Bad Boys for Life. You get the review about that later on in the show in the review section, because I'm about to see it now, so I've not seen it as yet, but you'll get it in the review section of this episode. Stick around for Bad Boys for Life review. Anyway, for more Star Wars news has the new film, The Rise of Skywalker, receiving 3 Academy Award nominations. That's right, 3 award nominations for the Academy Awards. So we'll see how that goes. Star Wars fares okay in these things, but not great. But anyway, to more news, Star Wars is starting to slow down at the theaters. It is crossed $1 billion at the box office. Not many people said it would, but it has. So that is pretty much the status of Star Wars, The Rise of Skywalker. And to more news, at this stage, I personally have seen it 8 times. That's right. I'm yet to see it one more time. I'd like to see it one more time for the hell of it. You know, episode 9 times. Anyway, so that is pretty much the Star Wars news. Let's get into the views. Views is not about one's YouTube channel, that how many views you would get. It's not even about predictions. It's just my story, ideas within the Star Wars universe. We know that in 2022, 2024, 2026, there's going to be a cinema release of some sort, movie for Star Wars. We don't know what they are going to be about. But my story idea this week is about what TV show would I like to see on Disney Plus or something like this. Personally, I think the most exciting one now, I think, would be connected to before the Star Wars saga started, which was episode 1. I'd like to see more about Darth Plagueis. It's a hardcore Star Wars fans, one of the favorites. It was one of the main areas where we thought Snoke was Plagueis, and we thought he was going to come in the third one of the trilogy. That's the sequel trilogy, or the Disney trilogy, whatever you like to call it. Never came along. I think there's lots of juicy storylines there that would be the greatest. Before this, my whole idea was about the Knights of Ren, but the way they dealt with Knights of Ren was pretty basic and really uninteresting. So I think Darth Plagueis, I don't like sort of having things that have to rely on things beforehand, but I think Darth Plagueis would be interesting. The only part that would be difficult is recasting Palpatine. Personally, I like the original actor to be the original actor, as long as they can do it, and it's worked really well with Ian McDiarmid. But anyway, Darth Plagueis series for TV, Disney Plus would be great. But definitely 2022, 2024, 2026, the absolute most or the best idea would be an original story, meaning original characters, an original part of the Star Wars universe. It could be way back in the past, or it could be way in the future, whatever it is, but it doesn't have to be reliant on Star Wars as we know right now. That'd be great. The only thing I'll say about originality is that the classic, good versus bad storyline, told in a different sort of way, but with similarities, should be applied for that trilogy of 2022, 2024, 2026. That's what I think. Anyway, that's my story ideas for this time around. So I'm about to go into the cinema now. I see Bad Boys for Life. Stick around, and I'll give you the review. Okay, so welcome back to the show. This is The Force Always. Let's get into the review section. I've just seen Bad Boys here with my lightsaber that I had to buy. That's a drink holder. Can you believe it? It's a drink holder here where in the cinemas here where I saw the film. Chadston. And anyway, the review for Bad Boys for Life, I'm going to give it a 6.9 out of 10. There's about 4 or 5 points in the film that is really good, but I find that it was a little bit lethargic in its acting, a little bit lethargic in its storytelling. There were some really good ideas, especially towards the end. Now, this is going to be a spoiler-free. I'm not going to spoil anything about this film, but something towards the end in the story plot sort of gives it a lot of merit, but they really don't finish it off well with it. There's about 4 or 5 points in the film that you can feel the emotional weight for a moment, but then it loses. I think some of the choices of actors, I've got to say, the tall guy with the beard, I thought he was a little bit stale. I thought the lead cop, police lady, was a bit the wrong choice. It was just not the right feel. Mark Lawrence, I love Mark Lawrence. He's seriously the man. He carried Bad Boys, and seriously, I thought his career was going to absolutely excel like Will Smith's, but Will Smith really took on the reins with that. But I think, personally, Mark Lawrence's humour was okay. It was a bit fluffy. He looks fine, just aging. Same with Will Smith. Will Smith probably was a bit better in the acting and sort of presence in the story. But I think there's just, all I can say, there's about 4 or 5 points in the story where it could have really excelled from the emotional weight, but it just stopped and started. So I get a 6.9 for Bad Boys for Life. So that's what I think. Okay, so that's reviews. Let's get into interviews. That's 2 questions. Ask myself, you guys out there, what can Star Wars learn from Bad Boys for Life? Well, not a whole lot, because it sort of came off pretty much the same. It's really pushed hard to sort of be epic, but it just didn't go 100%. It tried, but it just didn't get there. Pretty much that's the answer to that question. So my second question is, what can Star Wars not learn from Bad Boys for Life? I think that stories and movies, for me, maybe being an old person, I don't know, I'm 48, is that when you have an emotional part of the story, you need to carry that from that point of the story, which is usually the start, which is a good point of starting this emotional point, from the start of the movie all the way to the end. Remind the audience of that emotional weight, whether it was a death or whether it was somebody got injured, all the way through. And it would create a more sort of reasoning behind the emotion and a great story feel. That's what I think all movies and Star Wars could learn from, in my humble opinion. Anyway, so that's my 2 questions. Pretty simple, straightforward. I'm pleased with Bad Boys, just to let you know. I'm not overwhelmed, but I'm pleased. I wouldn't say it's great, but it's good. Anyway, from myself, The Force Awakens, news, views, reviews, and interviews. Me and the lightsaber here. It's a lightsaber. See, there's a straw up there. Yeah. I've also got the other one, don't worry. I've got the set, being a Star Wars fan. But anyway, until next time, subscribe to the channel if you can. So before I go, subscribe to The Force Awakens only on YouTube. Like and share the video. Repeat it if you want. Send me a question via Instagram or even Twitter or even the channel itself. And until next time, my friends, keep rocking.